Well, it's time to have a tough talk with one of your team members. Their performance has not been up to par, and you have to have a corrective conversation. Are you ready for that conversation? Or are you avoiding it, hoping the problem will go away? Well, today we're going to talk about how to have those tough talks with your team. I saw a study a while back that found that the vast majority of employees avoid difficult conversations at work. There's many reasons we're reluctant to enter into those kind of conversations. Sometimes we lack confidence. Now, this is especially true for new leaders, but it's not limited to them. These new leaders lack confidence in themselves to do this, or they lack confidence in their new role as a leader. Sometimes we're reluctant because we fear rejection or we fear conflict. Or maybe we don't want to upset the other person. I mean, they're trying so hard, or they're going through a tough time at home, or we just really like them. If we just give them a little more time, I'm sure they'll turn it around on their own. And then for some of us, our reluctance comes from the bad experiences we've had in the past with these conversations. So it's natural for us to shy away from the uncomfortable conversation. However, as leaders, we cannot afford to avoid them. If we avoid the tough talks, we are contributing to the growth of a toxic environment. Allowing bad behavior or performance that does not meet our standards to go unchecked is going to undercut accountability and teamwork, engagement, and performance. You're quickly going to lose credibility as a leader as well. And if we let it go too long, our best talent will up and leave. Avoiding the conversation will only allow the problem to continue, and most likely, the problem will get worse. The bottom line is that the cost is just too high for us to avoid these tough talks. So I want to share a few guidelines to help us conduct these tough talks. Now, this is not an exhaustive guide, but it's just a few suggestions to keep in mind. First, consider the location. This type of conversation needs to happen in private, not in the hallway, not in the break room, not on the floor, not anywhere in front of other people. Your goal for this conversation is not to shame or humiliate them, so be careful about the location. Secondly, be clear on your goal. Before you sit down with the employee, and probably several times during the meeting, it will be helpful to remind yourself of what the goal of this conversation really is. In the midst of our nervousness and emotion, we can drift to a punitive mindset, but the goal of this conversation is not to punish. The goal in having this conversation is improvement. You're not here to win an argument. You're here to have a constructive conversation about their development. Third, make sure that you focus on behavior, not on the person. Unfortunately, when giving feedback, too many managers fail to separate the behavior from the person. And not surprisingly, the employee gets defensive and the conversation goes nowhere. So instead of calling them rude, lazy, or incompetent, point out the behavior that was rude, or focus on the work that was not up to standard. And be specific. Instead of, well, you're always late, try, you have been at least 10 minutes late 6 times in the last 3 weeks. As much as possible, you'll want to stick to the facts rather than opinions or assigning motives. Next, be respectful. Being respectful doesn't mean we sugarcoat or ignore the truth. We enter into these conversations with a commitment to be honest, to be direct, and to be fair. But even with these best of intentions, the conversation can be very emotional. You cannot control how the other person will react, but it's up to you to manage your own responses. It's up to you to share this difficult information without being rude and disrespectful. No matter what you're feeling inside, it's important to avoid the temptation to revert to name-calling, swearing, or belittling. And finally, when all is said and done, take some time to reflect and to learn from the experience. Think about what went well and what didn't. Now, I'm not suggesting you relive every moment and obsess over every word, but do take some time to congratulate yourself on the things that you did well and identify what you might do differently in the future. This is not just an improvement opportunity for them, it's an opportunity for improvement for you as well. Tough talks are part of being a manager. If you avoid them, you are only damaging yourself and your team. Well, I hope these tips can get you started the next time you have to enter into one of those difficult conversations. Drop us a note in the comment and let us know what tip you might add to the list. But thank you for partnering with us as you find your lead. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more leadership content.